This morning, I return to the most pressing question facing my colleagues at this moment. Will the Senate conduct a fair impeachment trial of the President of the United States of America? The framers suspected that any impeachment would ignite the passions of the public and naturally would create partisans who were either sympathetic or inimical to the President's interests. But that's why the framers gave the Senate the responsibility to try impeachment cases. When it came to a matter as serious as the potential removal of a president, they believed the Senate was the only body of government with enough independence to rise above partisan considerations and act with the necessary impartiality. Will we live up to that vision? Right now, the Republican leader and I have very different ideas about what it means to conduct a fair trial. Democrats believe a fair trial considers all the relevant facts and allows for witnesses and documents. We don't know what the evidence will say. It may exculpate the president, it may further incriminate him. We only want a trial that examines all the facts and lets the chips fall where they may. The Republican leader, in contrast, apparently believes that a trial should feature no witnesses, no relevant documents, and proceed according to the desires of the White House, the defendant. The Republican leader seems more concerned with being able to claim he went through the constitutional motions than actually carrying out our constitutional duty. Because the Republican leader has been completely unwilling to help get the facts for a Senate trial, the question will have to be decided by a majority of senators in this chamber. That means 4 Republican senators at any point can compel the Senate to call the fact witnesses and subpoena the relevant documents that we know will shed additional light on the truth. Now, I've heard several arguments from the other side why we shouldn't vote on witnesses and documents at the outset of the trial. The Republican leader and several Republican senators have suggested that each side complete their arguments and then we decide on witnesses. This idea is as backward as it sounds. Trials should be informed by witnesses and documents. They're not an afterthought. Their reasoning, McConnell's reasoning, has an Alice in Wonderland logic to it. Let's have each side make their case, he says, and then vote on whether the prosecutors in defense should have all the available evidence to make those cases. We know what's going on here. Our Republican colleagues, even Leader McConnell, knows that the American people want witnesses and documents. Over 60% of Republicans do. So they're afraid to say no, but they don't want to vote on them because that might offend the defendant in this trial, President Trump. So they're trying to kick the can down the road. It's a strange position for Republican colleagues to take. They're willing to kick the can down the road, as I said, on questions of witnesses and documents, but they're not willing to say when or if they will ever support them. Just yesterday, one of the 4 witnesses we requested, National Security Advisor Bolton, said he's ready to testify and has new information to share related to the case at hand. Republicans were dodging and twisting themselves into pretzels, trying to explain why someone with direct knowledge of what the president did shouldn't testify under oath immediately. I believe that illustrates the fundamental weakness of the Republican position. None of our Republican colleagues can advance an argument about why this evidence shouldn't be part of a trial from the beginning. To put it another way, none of our Republicans have advanced an argument about why it would make sense for the Senate to wait until the end of the trial to obtain all the evidence. Make no mistake, on the question of witnesses and documents, Republicans may run, but they can't hide. There will be votes at the beginning on whether to call the 4 witnesses we've proposed and subpoena the documents we've identified. America and the eyes of history will be watching what my Republican colleagues do.